going for some petrol now. I've just crashed. Not putting traffic lights. I've just passed my MOT. I'm just some wheels. I'm getting fed up with this. Let's go play garden.
This may be hours of fun for children, but owning a real garage and test station is not child's play. And never mind just running the business, there's a strict criteria to make sure you're doing the business. When it comes to meeting the criteria set for an authorised examiner, there are people to help, and Henrik from the Vehicle Inspectorate is just one of those people. Hello, Henrik.
Hi, Sean.
Now, when you go to inspect an MOT station, what is it you're hoping to achieve?
Well, there's all sorts of things we've got to look at. Standards, procedures, bit of record keeping. We're going to look and see if there are any problems. No two stations are the same. Even vehicle examiners differ, but we've all got to follow a fairly set pattern. So the thing to do during a visit is to find any problems early so that we can help the garage. We really are there to help. But rather than talk about it, the best thing I can do is show you. Now, I've got a place lined up, so let's go along and I'll take you through it. What we're going to do today, Sean, is known as the routine station visit. They're carried out once a year, or it can be more frequently. These visits are either pre-arranged or they can be completely unannounced. And it's important that we should preview the file so that before we get there, so that we are familiar with the station and the equipment layout.
Authorised examiners run into trouble when tests haven't been carried out to the correct standards, or the right procedures haven't been used, or the equipment hasn't been used correctly. The best way to avoid it is for the authorised examiner to closely monitor what's happening at the testing station and give the right support to their staff. The Vehicle Inspectorate regularly gives routine visits to each station and checks up on many of the items that are there. And there's no reason why an authorised examiner can't do their own internal audit, checking many of the systems. And this video gives some of the items that the authorised examiner can check. In particular, close scrutiny of the paperwork can help them and tell them an awful lot about what's happening with the actual tests at that station. The main point is that the authorised examiner really needs to know exactly what's going on at the station, and the only way to do that is to find out and look closely.
Now, Henrik, this is obviously your starting point. What is it you'd be looking for?
I would have previewed the file, so I've got a good idea in my mind of the equipment, the layout, the personnel, where everything is. So I'd know where to look for the parking bays and signs. When I looked at the external signs, I know which ones should be up and where they would be.
Now, sometimes you turn up unannounced, don't you?
Yes, we can. That's a very good time to be particularly alert. We're always alert for security problems, but if it's unannounced and we walk into the reception area, we have a good look around for things like safes left open, test certificates left on the table, keys left lying around, things like that.
But today we've got an appointment.
Well, yeah, these people today know we're coming, we made an appointment. So just before we set off in there, have a look around, maybe take a note of a couple of the car numbers sat in the bays here. Because when I look at today's test pad, I might compare a number, find a recently done test, and we might have a vehicle that's ideal for re-examination. Authorised examiners must be able to offer testing during the hours notified to the Vehicle Inspectorate and displayed in the test station. This means the test facilities must be available during these times.
So does an authorised examiner have to accept every vehicle for test?
Authorised examiners must offer an appointment to test any vehicle of a class within their authorisation at the earliest practical date and time, bearing in mind their existing MOT workload. Appointments made for vehicles without a current certificate, which couldn't be driven to the testing station without an appointment, must be recorded in writing with all of the details. Of course, there are occasions when an authorised examiner or nominated tester can refuse to test. A list of these is in the MOT testing guide. When a vehicle is refused, a VT30 must be issued with the reasons for refusal written upon it.
And so what about retests?
If a vehicle stays on the premises for repair and retest, only the failure items and other items that could have been affected by the repair need to be retested, and there is no retest fee. Once a vehicle has left the premises, when it returns for retest, it must have a full examination regardless of how short a time it has been away. An exception to this is when the only failure items are on the list of free retest items. Then, provided the vehicle is presented at the same testing station no later than the end of the next working day, then only the failure items need to be checked and there is no retest fee. If it is presented later than this, it should be treated as a full retest. Vehicles in classes 4A or 5A that have passed the seatbelt installation element of a test but failed in other ways, if they return to the same testing station for retest, the installation check is not repeated. In these cases, the VT30 for the original failure must be endorsed to the effect that the installation check has been passed. In all cases, if a vehicle fails on a retest, a further VT30 must be issued.
Right, Sean, grab a seat.
I've done the checks outside. I've come in and met the examiner.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Harry Askill.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Henrik Kukaczynski from the Vehicle Inspectorate. I spoke to you on the phone earlier.
That's correct. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and you. I've come along to do the station visit.
Yes.
Authorised examiners should never be afraid to ask for identification. Good security is of prime importance, and checking that the Vehicle Inspectorate person is bona fide is all a part of it. All visiting VI staff carry a warrant, like this. The thing we'd like to do first is get the security checks out the way. So if you could show me where the night safe is, please, and we'll go and have a look at the contents and security there.
Yes.
Okay then.
Okay, shall we go?
Authorised examiners are responsible for ensuring that the blank MOT certificates and the embossing stamp are not accessible at any time to unauthorised persons. These certificates and stamps must be kept in the approved security container during testing hours and in the approved safe at all other times, including break periods and during staff absences. Blank pads of certificates may be kept at alternative locations acceptable to the Vehicle Inspectorate, for example at a bank, a security company or a solicitor's office. Any such arrangements must be notified to VI before it comes into effect. Certificates must never be taken home for safekeeping. Keys must never be left in places like drawers or on hooks. They must be kept in the personal possession of the key holder or the person issuing the certificates and never made available to unauthorised people.
This is our night safe.
That looks fine. Could I just ask you, Harry, who else has got a key beside you?
We don't allow anybody else to have a key for security reasons.
So there's only you
There's
got
only myself who has a key. And the key's on my person all the time.
Fine, that, thanks. We take security very seriously because stolen certificates mean unsafe vehicles on the road, not to mention lost business for MOT stations. Just the two of them.
Okay.
So the current book's in the day safe then at this time?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When the safe's open and we take out the documents, I would look at the in-use pad if it's in the night safe and have a look at the contents and the way that it's been completed. If there are unused pads in the safe, I would check that they're secure. Do you have any other books in the bank or anywhere?
No, not at all.
Thanks.
Okay.
In the event of loss or theft of blank certificates or embossing stamps, or the apparent misappropriation of a test certificate, the AE must immediately notify VI and report the loss to the police. The AE must also send a full written account of the circumstances to the VI local office within 1 working day and must immediately suspend testing. Right.
Put these here. There's the current book that's in operation at the moment.
Right then. I would look at the in-use pad and have a look at the contents and the way that it's been completed. I might look at the details of any cars that might be on site, and that might be a suitable vehicle to be checked later in the visit. That looks fine. I'll just take an imprint of your embossing stamp. We keep this with our records. That's come out nicely. If you'd like to pop those away. Coming back to the reception area, I go to the notice board with the examiner and I ask him if there have been any changes in the authorisation, directors, ownership, partnership. VI must be told of any significant changes to the control or operation of the business. Any change in your opening times? Are these still relevant?
No, they're still relevant today.
And finally, have any testers on that list either joined you or left recently?
No, they're all still here.
That's
all
as
still
per.
here. That's as
Right. So I've established if there are any recent changes in the way that the garage is being run. Test stations must have certain documents and we will need to look at these. To make it easier for the authorised examiner, we often give him a list of what we need to see. Usually the best place to lay them out is in the room or in the area where the test certificate itself is made out. It's usually a desk or a table. Lay these documents out and whilst that's being done, I would then go and do the station equipment checks. There's a lot of equipment to check out there and it's very, very easy to miss something out. So as with all this type of visit, it's very useful to have a checklist with all the equipment on there. And I'm going to go into the test area and just go down them one at a time and check them off. And with each particular piece of equipment, there's usually a particular type of problem that with a roller brake tester you'll be looking at the condition of the rollers because they can get clogged with dirt and oil. The grit can be stripped off. So you build up a picture of what the problem with a particular equipment can be and you home in on that particular thing. With the emissions analyzers, you've seen all the cables and probes and pipes lying around. These are very easily damaged. And so, as you go around the equipment, ticking each one off, you're looking in particular for what you know is generally wrong when things do go wrong with that piece of equipment. Testers, with the best of intentions, will often make do and mend. The authorised examiner may never have been told that some piece of equipment is damaged. If there's any of the equipment that's damaged, we have to make a decision as to whether it's serviceable. It might be damaged and requiring a routine repair or maintenance, but it could actually be unserviceable. The authorised examiner may have to stop testing until it is repaired. The local vehicle inspectorate office must be informed immediately.
Turn it on.
We also need to make sure all the calibration certificates are up to date. The inspection manual gives guidance on this. When we've finished in the test hall looking at all the test hall equipment, we're then going to go through to where the authorised examiner or a member of his staff has laid out all that list. Remember the list we looked at earlier? And work our way down the list, coming to each document in turn, making sure the document's there. It's the vehicle examiner's experience that tells him what the typical problem area is with that document, so it can be done quite quickly.
You seem to go into great detail here.
We go into all this detail because it's only by looking at the whole picture that we can be in a position to advise the authorised examiner if there are any problems and how we can help him to put them right.
So Henrik, if you retest a vehicle that's just been recently tested and you find there's something very obvious that's been missed, is that tester disciplined or would it be the station that's disciplined?
If the fault was there at the time of the test and it is minor, we would give advice. If it is serious, then formal action would be considered. The test guide explains all about the disciplinary procedures. If it was something of a less obvious or a less important nature, we might deal with it by what I'd call on-the-job retraining. We'd have a word with the lad, pull out the tester's manual, show him what he should have been looking at, and just put him on the right tracks.
So how does the authorised examiner ensure that his testers are doing a quality job?
The quality controller, every calendar month, must test the performance of every other tester on the list of nominated testers. And that test, when performed, will be entered in a VT12 register. The authorised examiner has a duty to employ a quality controller who is really capable of doing this job. And it's not a job that you do once a month per tester. It's a job that you're doing all day, every day. Every calendar month, he's got to check the procedures that the test is carried out in, the standards to which the test is carried out on, the correct use of the equipment, and that the documentation is being correctly completed. So those are the 4 issues that he needs to quality control. Now there's 2 ways that he can do that. One is rather formally, as I might do it during a visit, where he stands there and he closely monitors all 4 of those aspects during the actual test. Alternatively, what he can do is less formally observe the test being carried out and the use of the equipment, and then after the test is completed, recheck the vehicle to see that the standards were correct and that the documentation has been completed correctly. Every quality control check must be carried out on a vehicle tested in normal circumstances. An inspection checklist must be completed for every quality control check, and it must show any testing deficiencies and the corrective actions taken. We're here to help this authorised examiner. We're here to discover if there are any faults in his system, to point those faults out, get him back on the right track, and at the end of the day we're all working towards the same standards. Better testing, better road safety, the business is going to be run better and safer. All right. Yes. Yeah, that's all gone very smoothly.
Oh, thank you.
What I'll do is I'll give you a call again, let you know.
Yeah, please
when I'm
do.
going to see you again.
Okay.
Thanks a lot for your help.
Thank you.
Bye, Harry.
All right, bye-bye.
Britain has one of the best road safety records in Europe, and the MOT test standards are a key influence. The Vehicle Inspectorate help maintain these by doing videos such as this, and also with training courses. Your local Vehicle Inspectorate office will be able to help you with details and any questions you may have.